Good evening. It's the second.
We can't hear you clearly, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, we can hear you now.
Did you did you hear the my computer was making a lot of noise? Was it the noise that was interfering?
Probably, but you're perfect now.
Pardon?
Probably, but you sound good now. Everything is good now.
What about now?
Perfect now.
Okay. So good evening. I'd just like to welcome everyone who's here to this event. This is part two of our funding one. Last month we had the first session in which we had two speakers who spoke to us eloquently about ways in which students can find funding. But this has been such a blessing to many people. I noticed that the YouTube link was very well watched. So, and also because we have a really wonderful resource person who is quite an expert in the field and whose knowledge would be of great benefit to um, all those who watch us right now online or sorry, all those who watch us now or will watch us online. We thought it would be very important to have Dr. Babajide Macaulay to join us today. Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm very good. Thanks a lot. Thanks for
Yes.
having me.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's wonderful. And the truth is that you're a friend of the program because you were our very first guest 3 or 4 years ago. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, I was.
And I actually hear that you've done quite a lot since then. I'm going to ask you to properly introduce yourself, but before that, I just wanted to make a few points. This is very important. 2 points really. The first point is that this is being recorded and will be out on YouTube. So if you do not wish to be recorded, just turn off your mic. In fact, and your what's that thing called? Your camera. In fact, it will be good for you to turn off your camera anyway, because it. So if you don't wish to be recorded, the second thing I'd like to say is that we're taking questions at some point. It would be good if you have any questions to pop it in the chat box, and we will try to get to it before this time is over. The third thing I wanted to say is that this is the Overseas Fellowship of Nigerian Christians. We are a UK-based charity, um, and so our motto is everyone a faithful disciple of Christ. But honestly, you don't have to be a Christian to participate in our programs. We would like to have you because we hope that the program will be of benefit to you. It was set up about 50, 60 years ago, and our chairman would have liked to have welcomed you. He generally comes in and welcomes every month. Unfortunately, on this occasion, London traffic caught up with him, and he called me a few minutes ago to apologize that he's not in a place he had really planned to. He had so planned to be here that he did not actually record a message because he thought he would present it live. But unfortunately, he's been caught up by London in London. He's unable um, to welcome you, but he wanted me to convey to everyone his deepest appreciation for being here and his warm welcome. And he wanted me to tell you a little bit about the OFNC. So, the OFNC, like I said, means the Overseas Fellowship of Nigerian Christians. Motto: everyone a faithful disciple of Christ. And we were set up about 50 years ago in the 60s. And the reason we were set up was because a lot of students came into the UK at that time and they felt slightly homesick. They wanted a feel of home, a feel of their faith as it was back home. So they set up the OFNC. We're not a church, so we encourage you to go to your churches. We have about 23 branches in the UK, so we just meet once a month in our various branches, and then you can go to your church and become a faithful disciple of Christ in your church. So that's a little bit about the OFNC. We apart from this program, we run a few other programs at branch and national level. We run programs for men, for women, for young people, for teenagers, um, for students, for all kinds of people. So you can find a lot about the OFNC and our programs from the website, which is www.ofnc.org.uk. You can also find out about X, Instagram, on Facebook. and on any other social media. So that's just a little bit about the Overseas Fellowship of Nigerian Christians. So, having said that, it is now time for you, Dr. Babajide Macaulay, to just introduce yourself briefly.
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity once again. I'm Dr. Babajide Macaulay. I'm a native of Lagos State, Nigeria. Um, I had my first degree in biology from the Federal University of Technology, Akure, Futa. And then afterwards, I was privileged to win the Commonwealth Scholarship. I won the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, which took me to the UK. So I had my master's in sustainable environmental management at the University of Greenwich in London. That was in 2013. And afterwards, I was privileged to win the Commonwealth again. And this time it was a Commonwealth PhD scholarship for my PhD in Manchester. So I had my PhD in environmental geochemistry and geomicrobiology from the University of Manchester. I finished that in 2019. And before all this, I was privileged to graduate with a first class. So my university, FUTA, offered me employment, which I accepted. So I started my career in academia in 2012. So at the time I completed my PhD in 2019, I returned to FUTA, grew up the ranks. I'm a few months away from a senior lecturer at the moment, and I lecture in the Department of Biology, as I said. Now I specialize in environmental sustainability. And then recently, which I would say 2022, I started, or should I say, I won a scholarship for my MBA with the Quantic School of Business and Technology, and I completed the MBA last year, November. And just a few months ago, I won my third Commonwealth scholarship. So I'm a very special kid. I've won Commonwealth 3 times. I won Commonwealth for the third time. This time around is the Commonwealth Distance Learning. So I do this virtually. It's a master's that you do online. And the master's is in carbon management because I'm gradually transitioning to carbon business, carbon trade, since everything we talk about today is now climate change. And so I'm transitioning from just toxicology to climate change. But this time I'm looking at carbon politics, carbon trade, carbon finance. And there are only 2 schools in the world offering that. So I'm privileged to have been taken by one of the 2 schools, which is the University of Edinburgh. And that's exactly what I'm doing now. So I'm speaking to you from FUTA, and along, on the sides, apart from my academic commitments, I have 2 startups that I run. So I'm also a businessman, which explains the MBA I had to do. The first one is Illumania, where I support young people with scholarships, how to win, which is exactly why I was called to attend this program and speak to you. And that's because I've won 14 scholarships in total in 20 years. So there must be something, it's just not mere luck. There must be a strategy around the way I do things. And that's what I'm going to share with you. The second startup is a research tech. It's called Wadi. For the Yorubas, Wadi is Iwadi, to investigate. And that's because we discovered a gap in research in Nigeria where students are given projects, but they do not know how to get the equipment they need to analyze samples. So we created this startup, a technology platform that connects you to equipment using a geolocator tool. So we just find the equipment that is closest to you, send dispatch guys to you, get the samples from you, send it to the lab, get it analyzed, and then the result is emailed back to you without you having to leave your school. So that's the second startup I run. So in a nutshell, you can just call me an academic entrepreneur. So that's it.
I'm so thrilled to hear all of this. And like I said, our paths crossed about during COVID actually it was, and when we first heard about Illumania, and Illumania, you were the first person we talked to because OFNC was working around students at that time, and we were thinking we need to do a program that would be of benefit to students who are in Nigeria trying to come into the UK. And so we thought, oh, let's do grants, scholarships, and we found you. So thank you very much for coming back after so many years. Um, can you tell
Thank
us a little bit about Illumania, first of all, because it's grown in the 3 or 4 years since we last spoke, hasn't it?
Oh, yes, it has. And should I say, what I love most about what we've achieved is that in the 4 years we've spoken, at least there are three major milestones I can talk about. The first is that I got an award from the OFNC of Ife in 2021, who gave me the award because he does something every year. He picks 100 youths that are doing fantastic things in Nigeria and outside of the country, and he awards them. So I was privileged to literally sit with kings, as the Bible said, because he
Excellent.
invited me. He invited me to his palace, and then I ate on the same table with
Ah,
99 other amazing people.
in
He
fact,
called pressmen. Pressmen were there. It was on the news, and I got this Oduduwa head as the should I call um, the award that I got at the end of the day, with some other amazing people that I just see on my screen. I was amazed. I was sitting next to them, and I was the only university lecturer in the room, and that meant I I do something beyond just teaching, and I really felt proud of myself. Now, the
and we are
second thing that happened, yes, the second thing that happened is the fact that the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission in the UK, they've been monitoring me, and I did not know this. So, in 2023, last year, around June, they reached out to me. The monitoring and evaluation team reached out to me and said, "Oh, we've been seeing all your works in Nigeria since you got back. You embody what the program entails, which is that you come to the UK, you pick up the skill, you go back to your country, and you build it. And we can see that that's exactly what you're doing. We would like to interview you to ask more about what you do." So I agreed, and around August, we had this interview that lasted for an hour. And then they wrote all of that into like a report that was sent to the UK government to encourage them to keep funding the Commonwealth. And it's online. If you Google my name, you will see it online. I felt really proud of myself. That's the second one.
and
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 the
just
very,
before you
yeah,
continue, can I just stop you there?
yes,
Because it might be something that if we want to find out more about you, if you can find that and share it while you are talking to us, that would be very helpful in case anyone wants to find this information out and find out a bit more about you and the work
yeah,
you do.
no problem at all. Yes, as soon as I pause, I'm going to do that on the comments section. So, um, and the very third one was around May this year. I just, should I say, shockingly received a phone call from the BBC. And this young man just called me and said, "I'm Sheung Idowu from the BBC." And it was a funny day because I was in a lecture hall with 1,000 people, 100 level students. There are always so many. And I was trying to let them settle down so that I can display my slides and then we can have our class. And then this phone call just came because everywhere was a bit noisy. I didn't want to pick the call initially, but when I saw the number, one man just pick the call and hear who is on the line. And that's how I heard it's from the BBC, and that they had seen me on LinkedIn. Another reason why you should not play with visibility. Okay. I'm telling people that are listening to me, understand the role of media in career growth in this era. You must be intentional about the way you put your work out there. There's no point doing so much work in one corner of the world and nobody knows about it. All right. So visibility is very key because they found me on LinkedIn, did some investigation on Google because they needed to, fact check some of those things so that they don't come and interview is scammer. I mean, it's the BBC. So
Hmm.
after doing all of that, They were satisfied, then they called me. And I thought they wanted me to come to Lagos to their office to do the interview. But apparently they said, no, we're coming to where you are. So they
Oh,
came
wow.
to Futa. Yes, they came to Futa. They flew in, came to Futa with all the equipment and gadgets, set it up in my office, and we did the thing. And that was shared on channels because there's a partnership between the BBC and channels. And then, yes, my school was so proud of that. They put it on their platform, and I was my name was sang every time that time.
And
So well,
we have
yeah.
to sing it here too. Honestly, we really are. Congratulations. And I just pray that it really does say in the Bible that a man's gift make room for him. I pray
Yes.
that your gifting will continue to make room for you and we'll continue to hear
Amen.
about what you're doing
Amen.
because it's
Amen.
good work. I know how blessed people were by the work you did the last time you spoke to us, which is why we called you again. So please, the person we are calling is you have a reputation even with us. Thank you so very much for all of that. And I really have to repeat how glad we are and how pleased we are. Now, this is the thing. There are two things here. The first thing you told me that I'm really interested in. Can you tell me you have won? You're a serial scholarship winner, right?
Yes.
That's really interesting. And you said there must be something you're doing right, and that has
Yes.
translated into Illumania. So, what services does Illumania render in this regard?
Okay. So first, it's a for-profit company and it's an educational consulting firm. So the first thing is anything scholarship essay. It comes in different nomenclatures: statement of purpose, motivation letter, personal statement, letter of intent. What else? What else? Statement of intent, statement of interest, right? So it comes in different names, but the contents are somewhat the same. So if you have any of these and you need a professional to review for you, we offer that. So we review scholarship essays of any kind. The other thing we do is CV. Most of the time, these schools will demand that you submit a CV alongside your application. And in this case, it's an academic CV. Academic CVs look different structurally from a corporate CV that you use in the workplace. And so we do that as well. If you are not sure of how good your CV is, you can come to us and then we revamp it. The third one is cold email review. Now, this is important, especially to those that want to go to North America, because in North America, you probably need to reach out to a professor first, and then before you submit your application, so that you can get something we call graduate assistantship positions. They are either called research assistantship or teaching assistantship. If it's the professor that is bringing his funds and you are joining him in his lab, then you'll be called a research assistant. If it's the department that is taking you in and they intend to let you teach some of their courses, then you'll be going in as a teaching assistant. For both, you will be paid, the school fees will be scrapped and you'll be paid stipends. All right, so it's a scholarship as well. It's just that it's called an assistantship. And for you to contact the professor, you need to send a cold email. A cold email is just an unsolicited email. Like you don't know him, and then you just send an email to the person. So that's what we call a cold email. There is a way it should be written to catch his attention or her attention so that the person can respond. Now, if you are not sure of how to do that, we also review such drafts, cold email drafts. Now, number four is for those that they've said, okay, good, go on and apply. But before you do, we want to do a short interview with you. There are some cases like that you need to do an interview session. I also know some scholarships that you have to be interviewed for you to win. A good example is Chevening. Chevening always, there is an interview phase. If you are not confident about how to do this, well, you can come to us. We do something called mock interview sessions, like a mock, the interview before the interview. For an hour, we'll place you, in an interview condition, and then watch how you respond, things you say, your body language. And at the end, we tell you specifically areas that need improvement and how to improve. So this is good because the feedback that you get is tailored fit, because it is what we see that we talk about, okay? It's tailored fit for you, rather than just giving a general opinion on how to do an interview. And lastly, is something I call LinkedIn optimization. Now, why is this important? Today, we both know, or we all know here, that LinkedIn is a digital CV. All right. And many people have gotten jobs, opportunities, and all kinds of things just by having a very good LinkedIn profile. In fact, you can be headhunted if your profile is good. HR from one good company will just reach out to you and encourage you to apply to their firm. And if you think that your LinkedIn is disorganized, you need a professional to arrange for you, you can come to us and then we optimize that for you. Now, these are the 5 major things we do at Illumania. However, there's an offshoot. The offshoot is something I call Scholarship School. I realize that these are packages, specific packages that you come to us when you want to do them. But how about someone that just wants to learn? He just wants to know how everything works. So I started a scholarship school, something I call Scholarship Accelerator Program, SAP. It's a 6-week intensive online on Zoom program where I expose you to how to find the course, how to find the university, how to find the professor, especially in North America. And for Europe, I will tell you all the scholarships available and then how to structure your essays to win them. So this SAP is a separate program that runs 4 times a year. In fact, as I speak to you now, there's an advert out for the 4th event in this year, which will hold in next month. The deadline to apply is the 31st of this month. So these are the things we do at Illumania.
That's actually quite interesting. I'm going to give you a minute to type your contact details while I just say a few things.
All right.
So that if anyone wants to find you and contact you about these things. But in the meantime, I just want to remind everyone that this is being recorded. It will come out on YouTube and a few other places. Just share with your friends as soon as you hear. We're also taking questions. So if you have any questions, please pop it in the chat box as quickly as possible. And then when we see your question, we might just ask our gentleman who has been here, a multi-award winning Dr. Babajide Macaulay, who multi-scholarship winning. This session is about finding funding as abroad, essentially, although who knows what it might cover. And it's for people who maybe want to do masters or postgraduate or even perhaps undergraduate, we don't know. Uh, okay, so now this is the first thing that's very interesting because I can imagine that many people are sitting down thinking, I want to apply for a scholarship. And what
Yeah.
we're hearing from you right now is you're giving us something free that you would normally charge other people for. But
Mhm.
so imagine that I was going to apply for a scholarship right now.
Yeah.
What are the things that I need to think of in terms of um, what plan should I have first of all if I was applying for a scholarship? What's the plan? Just to do
Very good,
research.
very good question. I would say before you start thinking about a scholarship at all, the first thing you should ask yourself is, do I really need to do postgraduate program? Because the scholarship is to get that postgraduate program abroad. The real question is, do you really need that master's or PhD? Do you really need it, or MBA? That's the first question. The reason I'm going steps back to ask that is because what makes you win a scholarship is when such a program ties into your career plan and you can write it in a story. It's going to catch the attention of selection committees. But if you are just desperate, I think I'm going to use education routes. I just want to jackpot. I want to use education routes. You are not going to win because the story is not going to align. So much disarray. Why do you need it? You can't explain. What's the justification? You will struggle. So the real question is, do you really need that master's? How does it tie into your profile? Is there a knowledge gap in what you currently do? And that master's is going to fill it. If you can't answer these questions, there is no point applying for a scholarship. You will be rejected very quickly. So the first, yes.
It is interesting because it's telling me straight away that there has to be a plan in place and there has to be some thinking in place. You're not just
exactly
right.
Exactly. I'll use myself as a good example. When I wanted to do my master's, I was already employed by FUTA, and FUTA had told me clearly, you need your master's to retain your job. It was clear. I wrote it in my scholarship essay. My job, it requires me to have a master's to retain my job. I'm in academia. I need to have my master's and PhD to retain my job. That was pretty clear. Then the next question is, why environment? Because I'm in the Department of Biology. I could have picked anything. Genetics, public health, you know. Why environment? I justified it as well. I said we have only one environment professional in the department. And I think it will be important for me to go to that field to complement the disciplines that we already have, you know, to improve the quality of teaching and research that we do in that department. It was clear. I identified the gap and I chose the field. So there's a lot of thinking going around the reason you are doing what you're doing. That's exactly what will get the attention. Don't forget, I've not even said anything about CGPA. I'm just talking about, you know, how your goal ties into your profile. It has to tie, because the moment it's not tying up, you know what's going to happen? They will think you are a scammer and they will think they will waste their resources.
And there are thousands of applicants as well.
Exactly.
So
they will think to waste their resources.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the moment they know exactly how it's going to fit in, then you have their attention. Now they now want to know other things you possess. And that will now take me to the next thing. Now, if you've now sorted out that justification for the masters and it's clear, the next thing will now be the documents you need to then apply. And to start applying.
But before we even go there, how do I even know where to apply before I start thinking of the documents I need? Or which should come first? Where to apply or documents to apply with?
Well, I think the documents first. Get those documents because they are basic.
Let's do the documents.
Yes, they are basic documents needed across all scholarship types. So it's better that you get them first. Some people don't get their documents until they need it. I think it's a very bad behavior because it is better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Okay, so get all your documents, have your transcripts. Some people will say, do I really need it? Not now. Then they go on Twitter, see a professor advertise, you know, an opportunity related to something that they like. That is when they start running to their school to get their transcript. And it takes a minimum of about 3 months to get your transcript. And the deadline on the professor's tweet is probably 4 weeks. Then you start saying, hey, this country is terrible. Hey, Nigeria has happened to me. Nigeria did not happen to you. You are just a bad planner, period. You need to be more proactive than reactive. Okay, when you are proactive, you get the things you need ahead of time before you even need them. When you are reactive, you wait until they ask you to do something, then you start the process of getting it. And you know how things are. It might take a while. Your international passport might take 3 months. Your transcript might take 3 months. Your certificate might take a month. So what you need to do is a year before you are ready to apply. Let me say that again. A year before you are ready to apply, start getting your documents. A year before. Get all these documents. Yes.
Essentially, we are now talking to people who are applying next year right now, right? Because if you
Exactly.
haven't got your document this year, are you suggesting then, you know, it will
I'm
be
suggesting exactly that if you've not gotten your documents this year, it might be too late for you to apply this year because most scholarships end in January. So if you've not gotten your documents, and some of them will take 3 months, when are you now going to get them? When exactly? It's going to be late. Yeah.
I'm presuming that the documents you need, the ones you stated so far, you need transcript,
Yeah.
certificate, Nigerian identity documents like passports, etc., etc.
So let me add two more to that three.
Okay.
You've mentioned your certificates, you've mentioned transcript, you've mentioned the international passport. The other two I will add, they are not really documents, but you should know how to get them when you need them. So figure out a plan that these are items I need to get and make sure you have plans on ground on how to get them quickly. The fourth one is English language proficiency letter from your university. Why is this important? Some schools abroad will ask you to write an English test, a standardized English test, either IELTS, which is an English-based test, or TOEFL, an American-based test. Okay, either one is good because people ask me which one is better. Both are good. One is just American, the other is British. It's fine. They accept the British one in America. They accept the American one in England. It's fine. Or in UK. It's okay. It's not a problem. They are respected, both of them. However, there are some universities abroad that will say, okay, since you studied in English and the language of instruction in your school, is English, can you show us a document proving that? So you need to go to your school to get such a letter. But your university will not give you an open-ended letter. They will usually ask you to tell them the name of the school. That's why it's not a document you can get immediately, but you must be aware of the process, the amount it costs, how long it takes to get it. It usually doesn't take a long time. How long it takes to get it and how to get it. So that by the time you start submitting applications to some schools, you immediately send those addresses to your school, your Nigerian school, so that they can start preparing letters for those schools. That's the fourth one. Now, the fifth document, or should I say fifth plan, is reference letters. Many people trivialize references. Do you know that they score references? I need you to know as you're listening. They score it, they look at it, they pay attention to references. Why do they pay attention to references? They know that anyone can write fantastically about themselves and claim to be amazing. To confirm what you are saying about yourself, they need someone credible, okay, to just say, indeed, that candidate or that boy is amazing. I taught him. He was top 5% in his cohort. He has a good behavior, and so on. So they just need someone credible to support what you've said about yourself. Don't play with it. I've noticed that most young people, they just choose people randomly, even people that don't know them. People have written me. Imagine somebody come to me and say, I follow you on LinkedIn. Please write a reference letter for me. I mean, I can't write a reference letter. I don't know anything about your character or your intelligence. I don't. You need to pick people who have taught you before, people who mentor you. They can, and they're going to write from the depths of their heart. When they write, you are going to feel it because writings have got emotions in them. They would see that this person really and truly is pouring out his mind. So pick referees that know you very well. They are your friends, they know you. There's no point picking somebody that is against you. What is the point? So pick someone that knows you, wants the best for you, and most importantly, has some digital footprint. Just in case they choose to Google the person's name, it will not be blank. They would see certain things he's doing, okay, or she's doing. So this is the fifth thing I'll ask you to plan for, so that when it's time to start submitting, you know exactly who to talk to. Oh, and one more thing, your referee must be available. And that means you might probably need to avoid some busy people. I know a lady that once told me, the VC of Futa is my friend. I will tell her to, I said, the VC, okay, I wish you all the best.
That's a serious matter. That person has connection. Let them introduce me. But the more interesting thing is, sometimes they will ask for a character reference and sometimes for an academic reference.
Yes.
So, how do you determine? I suspect an academic reference would be maybe your supervisor, right? Or is it just anybody in your department can be an academic referee, or your supervisor has to be the academic referee?
Well, there are two types of references. So there's the academic reference and there's a non-academic reference, or the one they call professional. So the academic reference is basically trying to check the person's intelligence in relation to their peers. And the only person that can say something about it is someone who has taught that candidate before. If I've never taught the candidate, I can't say anything about the person's mental capacity in relation to his or her peers. And that's why for an academic reference, you need either your research supervisor or a lecturer in your department, but the person should have taught you before. Guess what? It doesn't even have to be a lecturer in your department. If it was a borrowed course from another department, but the man taught you, e.g., I'm in biology. I took a course in biochemistry. A professor in biochemistry that taught me can write me a letter and talk about the fact that he taught me and I did so well, right? So that's the academic reference. The non-academic one is usually workplace reference that talks about your work ethics and usually your character. Okay, so it is good that someone from outside of academia, workplace, or just a credible personality in the society that knows you well can also write about your character.
Okay, so it doesn't necessarily have to be your workplace, but someone who knows you well enough.
No, but someone who knows you, but not related to you. Important, not related to you. Yes.
That's very important. So we've got all these documents ready now. So how do we find out what grants are available?
Okay, good. Now, there is an easy way to do this. Before, I would have said you need to go and search, but there's an easy way. The easy way is, if you've heard of Opportunity Desk, I will type it now. Opportunity Desk. Most of you probably have. Let me type it out. Opportunity Desk. That's it. Just follow Opportunity Desk on LinkedIn or on Twitter, because they have platforms everywhere. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Follow Opportunity Desk. Now, what will this do for you? When you follow them, They constantly churn out opportunities, global opportunities in real time. As it's opening, they are putting it on their platform and they are sharing with the public. So when you follow them, you will not miss any global opportunity at all. It's so consistent and so reliable that the moment you open your platform, it's going to pop up. So there's no way you're going to miss it as long as you're opening your social media pages daily. You cannot miss it. So follow Opportunity Desk and the opportunities will come to you. You will see it on your timeline. As it's opening, within 2 days, you're already seeing it on your timeline. And when you see it on your timeline, don't scroll past it because that's what some of you do. Don't scroll past, read it, go through it, go through the eligibility criteria and everything. Be sure that, okay, this is for me. Okay, this is what I like. Then take notes and then save the content. If it's not something that is in line with what you want, then you can pass.
That's really interesting. Now someone called Ayomide has asked a question here. Ayomide
Yes.
would like to know, says, if I apply next year, how long will it take them to consider my application?
Very good. So the thing is, the scholarship um, windows is usually a particular, should I say, there's a season. There's a season. It's usually from September, or let me just say from August down to January, February. So let me just say August, February. That's the scholarship window of most top scholarships in the world. From August
Actually, Shiming
to
is
February.
closing in about a week or two, to tell the truth. I think they close
Yes,
mid-November.
Chevron will close on the 7th of November, if I'm not wrong. So we are just a few weeks away, about 2 weeks away from the deadline for Chevron. Commonwealth Shared is going to open very soon, and then Commonwealth Distance Learning will open around December. So some other scholarships will come up, right? That is on, will close anytime. The MasterCard is as closed. I think MasterCard closed today. MasterCard closed today. So you can see this is the period, different scholar, this is the period. So if you apply next year, that means you are applying this time next year. The consideration will start the following year from January. The committees will start looking at it, and by June, you start receiving success emails.
That's
And by
June 2026, just to be clear.
exactly June 2026, you start receiving success emails. By September of 2026, you will be on the plane. You'll be on the plane.
Yeah. Ayomide, if you let us know whether you're satisfied with that answer, that would be very good for us. Or if you would actually like to further ask a question, I will give you the right to unmute yourself and ask if you are not satisfied. I'll count 10 for you. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So Ayomide, I presume you're satisfied therefore. Okay, so we're talking about your that interesting thing about finding thank you very much. For your message, you say you're satisfied, and we're glad to have been. Once you've got one satisfied customer, maybe Ayomide will look for you when it's time to fill the form. You know the details when you need to. So when you start finding these scholarships, we
Yeah.
said that we are looking at thousands of people. I think we said that earlier on, and
Yes.
and that is a very scary thing because a lot of people they get refused and they go, oh, we a large number of candidates. So.
Mhm.
All these things about eligibility criteria.
Yes.
I just wanted you to talk a little bit about that because um, just so that people don't feel too discouraged, don't take the wrong steps or don't feel discouraged when they're. Tell me about the kinds of eligibility criteria that people are looking for.
Okay, so the thing is, different scholarships. So I used to say scholarships are candidate specific. They are candidate specific, which means that there is a target demography. That's the truth. They might tell the entire world to apply, but there is a mold they are looking for. There's a particular mold they are looking for. And this changes across different scholarships. It's not the same across all of them. Okay, it's not the same. I'll give you some examples. Let's take Commonwealth. Commonwealth scholarship, they are so big on academic excellence. And that's why when you look at their selection criteria, number one is academic merit. It's sitting pretty as number one. And if you notice, Commonwealth scholars, 80% of them are first class. That's the truth. I made a first class a first class as well. So 80% of Commonwealth scholars are first class. But does it mean that it's only first class? No, there are 20% that are not. That means they had some amazing things that attracted the committee, but they have a bias for academic excellence. So if you are listening to me and that describes you, that's a scholarship you should try, because they want somebody like you. Now, Commonwealth scholarship started in 1959 by the UK government, of course. Then they realized that there is a demography that they've not been paying attention to. And this demography are people that do not have excellent grades, but they are, community builders. They have NGOs, they solve problems around them, they are leaders. And so they told themselves, we need to create another scholarship for these people. So in 1983, they created Chevening, the same government. They created Chevening. So you need to understand that the two scholarships are not the same. And if you tend to apply to the two, it means I'm not sure you know what your profile is. Because if you know what your profile is, you should know the better one and the one to not even touch. Because Chevening is big on impact, social impact. You must be doing something with social impact. If you've not been doing anything like that, don't bother. Even if your CGPA is 4.99 on a 5-point scale, they don't care, because that's not the focus of Chevening. If it's a 4.99, go to Commonwealth instead. All right. And so this Chevening is for those. Tutu can apply. Lots of Tutu have one Chevening because the focus is not the grades. The focus is social impact. Now, when you look at Cheveners, people who have won it, you will notice that their backgrounds are almost the same. They have similar mold. You see, solving problems, and they have evidence. That's the reason why there's an interview phase for Chevening, because you can tell a lie in your form, but when you look at them face to face, they want you to tell the lie in front of them. So there's an interview phase to confirm the things you've written, whether you really solve problems in your environment or not. But Commonwealth doesn't need an interview, because all they need is your transcript. You are doing so well, straight A's, or you give it to him. So then you have a scholarship called Erasmus Mundus. And these guys, they are big on experience, post-graduation experience. You would notice something about them. The moment you finish school and you've done some work for a year or two related to what you want to have your master's in, and you're able to share it in your application, they will like you. So they have a soft spot for people that have post-graduation experience. So you can see, now, most of these things are not clearly written in paper, in black and white. I know this because I've been in this space for years. So that's why I can guide and say, don't apply for this. It's best you apply for that based on your profile. So the truth is, the eligibility criteria thing, first is, if you take a look at it, be honest with yourself. Does this describe, myself? Does it look like I fit what they are looking for? If the answer is no, don't even try, and don't fake it, because I know Nigerians are overly religious. Don't fake it. You are not. What is it called? The Chevening, you will see selection criteria. Number one is leadership potential. It's sitting pretty there, number one. Meanwhile, Commonwealth, number one, academic merit. You see, they know what they are doing. They know what they are saying. So if you've not done a lot of leadership, volunteering things, solving problems in your environment, just leave Chevening alone. Does that mean that you cannot win a scholarship? There are other scholarships that will fit you, but not Chevening. And then you have DAAD, D-A-A-D, DAAD scholarship to Germany. DAAD is not even bothered about your CGPA. Just show that you are a good fit for the program. So tell us your CGPA, it's holistic. Your CGPA, tell us your work experience, tell us your publication, put everything together. They look at everything holistically and decide whether to give you or not. So there is a scholarship for everyone. So that is it.
That's really interesting. And actually, that is good because it's, you know, where it says, do not be discouraged. There is something for you.
Exactly.
And we don't want you to faith it and just think, I can apply for anyone. God will open the door. God will actually open the door to the one that you are very qualified for. He has already prepared one for you. He has prepared your door. Don't just see what I mean. And that's really interesting because we'd like to encourage as many people as possible to apply for as many scholarships as they are fit for, not just for any scholarship, which is why we have experts like you. So you can look at their work, look at their qualifications and say, oh, I would advise you to apply for this kind of scholarship rather than this one. You're more likely to get this one and not the other one. And that does make sense, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And as a matter of fact, we are working on an AI tool that can solve this problem, because I noticed that most people don't know the type of scholarships to apply for. So using AI, we are working on it now. If you are able to, if you can just answer a few questions, maybe 8 or 10. Once you answer the questions and you type search, then the platform will just, recommend to you the scholarships that fit your profile so that you won't stress. And those are the scholarships that you just apply for. My team and we are working on that now.
Oh, that's good. As soon as it comes out, will you let us know and we will spread the word?
Definitely. We'll popularize it.
So we have now come to the point where we have now decided, okay, this we have got our documents ready. We are probably eligible for this or that grant. And
Yeah.
then we will now need to fill the form.
Okay.
Now, what are the general issues that we need to consider when filling forms?
All right. So first thing first is to be don't overthink. Answer the questions directly. I noticed that people overthink, number one, and people do too much. When something says, cite an example of leadership, read the English. It wants you to cite one example because it says an example of leadership where you made impact in your society. Read the questions and answer the question. If it says cite an example of leadership, then it's best to pick one example that you know was most impactful and recent, because there's no point picking an impactful leadership experience from 2000, year 2000. It's just too far.
If you say you haven't grown since then.
Exactly. So it's not just about the impact, it's also about how recent. So make sure that it's recent and make sure that it's very impactful, but cite one example. A lot of people think that quantity is what matters. They start chunking all kinds of things. I've done this and I've done that and I've done this. They are going to skip it because you don't read. You don't pay attention. Pay attention.
There are other instructions in reading as well, like the number of words, the number of.
Oh, yes. Yes, I was going to get there as well. So I wanted to start with the reading because
Oh, no, no, you're the one answering. Please finish in your own good time, brother. In your own good
Yes.
time.
So I'm starting with the common errors I've noticed over the years. People don't pay attention. So what you want to do is to pay attention, read the question. And some people, they are so overwhelmed. When they read it, they're so overwhelmed. I think you should just calm down and read the question. Sometimes the question might sound so easy. Of course, it's easy. They want an easy response. It's not complicated. Then they now complicate it. Don't complicate it. It's easy. An example of leadership, just write the example of leadership. Don't complicate it. It's as simple as that. So that's the first thing. Secondly, if it's an essay where you have to upload a document, please don't tamper with the margins, the page margins, because you are trying to fit in more words. I noticed that some people do this a lot. Let's say they tell you a 2-page statement of purpose, or you upload it. Whatever they've written is now 2.5 pages. Then to make it fit, they will now start fondling with the page margins. They will drag it to the point that the margin will almost be at the extreme ends of the paper.
So that 2.5 pages will fit 2 pages.
Exactly. Do you think they can't see? They can see that that's what you've done, and it makes your work just terrible. Let me tell you why they will not take that work. They won't take it because you are trying to be smart. You know why they said maximum of 2 pages? They are trying to teach you how to summarize. Summarizing things is also a test. It's a test. If you can't summarize what you want to say in 2 pages, then what are you saying? Then you should learn how to summarize things. You should learn how to identify things that are not so important and take them off. That's your duty. You can't say, it's 2.5 pages. Of course, there must be something that can be deleted. So rather than tamper with the, the way the template, your MS Word template, leave it as it is. Don't tamper with the margins. Usually, you can use line spacing of like 1.5. You can escape with a font size of 11. You can't do 10. 10 is too small. You can escape with a font size of 11, line spacing of 1.5. Please don't do line spacing of 1. It will just be too messed up. They won't be able to see, so everything will be cramped up. So you can escape with line spacing of 1.5, font size of 11. If you still can't get whatever you want to write into 2 pages, then you should delete rather than expand the margins. Another thing I want to say is the word count. Just as he has said, some people don't respect it. They would say 500 words. You write 503, 502. You write 510. Please respect it. But the good news is that if you are going to have to put it inside an online form, the form will not even allow you. So somehow they found a way to make sure that your stubbornness is dealt with.
Or sometimes they will put the number when you are writing, they will be counting the words for you. You see 452, 455.
Yes, exactly. And when you've gone past, it will turn from green to red to let you know that, bros, you have gone past. And then when you try, yes.
If they say I should write 500 words and I write 150, is that bad?
Okay, this is a very good question. Very good question. Now, it is very bad. Very, very bad. Some scholarships will not ask you minimum number of words, but MasterCard, they have been so magnanimous enough to let you know that, okay, the maximum is 300, but you cannot write below 200 words. That is, they're already saving you so that you will not write something that will upset them. But some other scholarships like Chevening, they'll just ask you 500 words, leadership essay, 500 words, networking, but they're not telling you a minimum. If you write 150 or 500, what do you think that is? That means, so you can't think of leader. There's no, it just shows that you don't have enough in your profile to showcase yourself. I mean, you are supposed to be outdoing yourself in order to outshine others. You want to show that, look, I'm a good fit for the program. They should see it in the way you are writing. You know, write like you want it, not like you are being forced to apply, right? So if you, in my opinion, if they ask you for 500 words, I think you should write a minimum of 300. If they ask you for 300 words, a minimum of 200. So
that's the reason why I asked the question is when you're studying in the UK, they would tell you 10% either way. So
oh,
if they say, for example, write a 1,500 word essay, then what they mean is either 1,350, between 1,350 to 1,650. But as we already agreed, when it goes past the 500 word mark, they you just start seeing red, so you can't go further.
exactly.
Which is why I was thinking, if is it okay to stick to the rule, to the 10% rule? Then does that work? So that for a 5,000 word essay, you would say, so long as I write 450 words, or do we have to, or can we settle for lower at 400 or 300 as you suggested?
Well, in my opinion, I think you should write as much as you can. If you say 500 words and you
As
can
long
write
as it's 499 or less.
499, you can write. And most important thing here, to be honest, is not about trying to reach the 499 or 500. It's to express yourself, to make sure that everything you want to say, you have written, to make sure that when you read through what you have written, it makes sense to you, to make sure that when a second eye goes through it, they are fine, they understand. Once that is achieved and it's under 500, you're good. If it's more than, then you look for some lines to delete or remove all adjectives. Because I've noticed some people, they just put unnecessary adjectives,
I know,
remove them.
I know.
They will
I do
not
some
change
proofreading,
the
so I
meaning
see
of
it
the
a lot.
sentence. Exactly. They won't change the meaning of the sentence, remove the adjectives, and you'll be good. So,
So
well,
if you
but
say
it's
something
always,
is very good, for example, and you just put good, it hasn't affected, you know. Oh, hello,
yeah,
are you there?
yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
I didn't get the question.
So if you say something is, if you say, I went over to Nigeria yesterday, the over to Nigeria, you can remove the over and just say I went to Nigeria yesterday.
Exactly,
Or
exactly, exactly. And
yeah,
then I get some people trying to use adjective to qualify the severity of something. And
yeah,
I feel like there is no need. Just go straight to it. There is no need. Like I've seen somebody say very difficult. Then there is no need. Just say it was
difficult is
difficult.
good.
It's okay. Difficult is okay. So don't. So that's why I said just remove certain things, remove them, and you would notice that you'll be able to shrink that text.
So in my
So
500 word essay on leadership, for example, just as an example, what am I
okay,
writing? Obviously, I can say this is an example of when I demonstrated leadership. What what is the story about it? What are the things that they want to see about that example of demonstration of leadership?
okay, very good. Now you've asked me a question that is so particular about Chevening. That is their first essay, and I'll explain how to write it. Okay, now the first essay of Chevening is leadership. It's on leadership, and they want you to demonstrate, tell them, and don't forget, they did not put one or two. It's up to you, the total number of examples that you want to give. But I have a rule of thumb that I use personally. I do not think that anyone should write more than two examples, because if you elaborate on how you performed and the outcome of your work, you would have written close to 200 words to explain just one example. So you can only fit in two examples in a 500 word limit. That's the max. If you are writing three examples, you would notice that one of the examples, you will now have to over summarize. So there is no need. Just make sure you have two good examples and you write them, elaborately. Now, how do you write them? Follow the STAR approach. STAR. Let me put that in the comment section. You follow the STAR approach. And what is STAR? STAR stands for S, situation. Okay? STAR. S is situation. Then T. Hello?
Yes,
Are you guys? Okay. So you have S is situation. T is task. All right. T is task. And then you have A is action. And then R is results. So that's the STAR approach. Now, what does this actually mean? Let me just explain quickly. So how to write your leadership essay is that you use the STAR. Let's say I was the president of my association, my departmental association in school. Then you start by saying that in 2023, I was the president of the National Association of blah, 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 University of Port Harcourt, Nigeria. Okay. Now, while in this role, the situation that you will now start with is that you must be able to tell them a challenge, something that you observed that was not right. That's the situation. I observed that so was happening. The failure rate was so bad. That's the situation. Now, the task is what ought to be done to tackle the situation. So you could now say the failure rate was so bad. And then it was important that, the students needed extra support, maybe tutorial classes or this or that. That's task. What needed to be done to tackle the situation? The next now is action. The action is now what you then did, what you did and how you did them. So you must talk about, so I reached out to the best students in so course, since it is one of the courses that they failed. I reached out to the best students in this, I reached out to this, and then we picked a particular day, we invited all the students affected, and we had these sessions for 3 weeks, every 2 hours, 2 hours a week for 3 weeks. You see, you've explained the actions you took and how you took them. You can't end there. You must end with your results. Because if you're starting with there was a situation and you were a leader, then you should tell us whether you resolved the situation or not. And that's the result. The result is the outcome of the action. Then you then say, after so weeks of tutorials, training them and all that, giving them the support that they needed. Out of 100 people who attended, 50 had A's and the others had between B and D. They all passed and they were failing before. But you have to be honest. Please be honest with your results. Be honest. And so you can say that they all passed, right? And so that shows. Now, I must also add, not every result is positive. Don't expect that the result must be positive. It is possible that the result will be negative. It's okay. The only thing is that if the result is negative and you still could not resolve the problem, you must tell us the lesson that you learned. That's all. So in case you tried and then it still didn't work out, you will tell us the lessons you learned. You can tell us it didn't work out because of this politics, the policy, this one wrong, that one, it was so difficult. And then it just stifled my efforts. And I learned that next time I should know how to do this, to lobby, to reach out to stakeholders, to do this, and that will still be great. In fact, and more accolades because of your honesty. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Star again, situation. What's that T again?
Task,
Situation, task, approach, and result. So, for
action,
example, we can say
action and result.
the action and result. So we can say, for example, we can say, I realized that many people needed to find out more about funding. So the action we took was we asked Dr. Babajide Macaulay to give us a talk, and the result next year is that several more people are applying and getting successful applications. Star approach used here already. Look at that. Doesn't it work beautifully? You see? So if I wanted to apply for she, although I actually confess I'm a Shivling scholar myself, but if I wanted to apply, I've got a star already. Abby. So
Yes, so
so that's but is that star approach, is it only Shivling that would benefit from using the star approach?
okay, no, actually, the funny thing is that the moment you learn the star approach, you just love it immediately. And you can start using it in many applications. So, for example, Commonwealth will ask you for leadership as well. Leadership and volunteer, and it's 500 words. So you can apply the same. In fact, my last Commonwealth essay, I applied the star approach and I won it. So you can use the star approach anywhere. And the reason why the star approach is so good is that it helps logically arrange the story. The story will arrange well and make sense. The reader will understand and will just be, will comprehend wholly what you are trying to say. So it's a very good approach because it's arranged everything logically.
Please tell them, Dr. Macaulay, tell them to ask questions. Maybe they didn't hear me well enough because only one person has asked so far.
Please ask questions.
Tell them how open you are to their questions in case they have any questions. So that
now
tomorrow they will say, you didn't ask this question and it was in our hearts to ask. So please tell them.
Feel free to go ahead and ask me questions. Like you have my full attention now.
Next time they will pay.
Yes, this is free. And I run a for-profit organization.
Exactly.
Ask questions now and I'll be happy to answer them.
We thank you very much because you've come to do this for us. We're really, really grateful because we don't take it for granted at all, especially such a high achieving I mean, someone sitting down with the Oni of Ife. It's not easy. It's not easy. No, but seriously, we are grateful that you came along. So
okay, I think there's a question now.
Somebody is asking about Erasmus scholarship.
Yes.
Can I ask for as many as I can?
Okay, so to answer that, the maximum you can do is actually 3. The maximum you can do is actually 3. So yes, you can do multiple, but I think it's 3.
3.
But at the end of the day, you are going to pick one. Though. If you win the 3 of them, you must pick only one.
Okay. Was there another question I missed? I think I missed another one.
Yes, there is one here. Please talk more about the last essay for Chevnin. What is the best approach there? Okay, so the last question that you are talking about for Chevnin is career plan. Okay, career plan, 500 words. I would ask you to structure it this way. Paragraph 1, give us like a summary of where you see yourself, like your career aspiration. Just a summary. What do you want to be associated with? What do you want to be known for in the future? So summarize that in your paragraph 1. And that paragraph 1, don't make it a lot. 50 words is okay. Paragraph 2, immediate plan. Tell us what you're going to do immediately you return to the country. Don't forget, Chevnin expects you to return to the country. So tell us your immediate plan upon return to Nigeria. Paragraph 2, that can be 100 words. Paragraph 3, tell us your short-term plan. Short-term is like 3 to 5 years after your master's, 3 to 5 years. So tell us your short-term plan. Paragraph 4, another 100 words. You can tell us your long-term plan. And this is usually 10 years, a 10-year plan. So here you are talking about very big things, but be careful, you don't want to say things that are not realistic. Okay, so you want to be realistic, all right, but also be ambitious, And then the last paragraph, I'll probably say that should now be like a concluding paragraph where you must talk about the priority areas of the UK in Nigeria. If you want to know them, just Google, write UK priority areas in Nigeria, and you will see them. I think there are about 5 of them. Okay, UK priority areas in Nigeria. Just type this in Google, and then you will see your course must align with one of the 5 UK priority areas in Nigeria. It must align. If it doesn't, then there will be a problem. So that last paragraph, make sure that you are now able to show that, look, my interest, everything I'm doing, my plans, everything ties to one of the priority areas of the UK in Nigeria. And this is how I intend to support UK programs. Mention 1 or 2 that are in line with your work. So that means you must have done your homework and say, let me give you a good example. Let's say your master's is in, let's say, sustainable education, and you are focusing on the girl child. So when you get to this last paragraph, you must find out whether the UK has an initiative on girl child education in Nigeria. If they do, mention the name of the initiative here and tell them how you intend to contribute to helping them achieve their objectives. So that last paragraph is very dicey. It's about you identifying the UK priority area that ties to your course, as well as picking up a program that they are doing already in Nigeria and how you intend to support them in achieving the objectives of that program. So that's the best way to write the last essay of Chevy.
Okay, we've got 2 questions floating in. There's the for someone who just said, I'm just talking, just a bit of. So I just wanted to make a point that we're going to have this thing on YouTube later on, but we do these things and we hope you benefit as much as possible. Please try not to come late, because if you come late, you miss out on some things. Um, that's the first thing. The second thing is someone said I've made it 2-1. Can I apply? Another person said, oh um, something is not complete. What they call that thing? Transcript is not complete. Like
Yeah,
final,
yeah.
final, yeah.
If your transcript is not complete, they will probably give you conditional admission, just almost like a placeholder. You are just there, okay, for consideration, but they will never finish that assessment until they have your full transcript. Okay, so yes, you can use that to just serve as a placeholder, as I said, but they will not make a conclusion until you have all your documents. So ensure you have all your documents.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what about the other question about so um 2-1?
Okay, what was the question on 2-1?
I think the person said I made it 2-1.
Okay, if you made a 2-1, that's great. Go on and apply. Most scholarships favor 2-1 and above.
Okay, and there's
Yeah.
somebody whose expertise is in oceanography, and this person has said, I'm interested in geoinformation systems. I presume that's what GIS is, right? What
Yes.
advice do you have for me?
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. GIS, definitely. GIS and remote sensing, because you'll be combining both, especially now that we're talking about plastic in our oceans. You probably want to use your GIS and RS to detect hotspots in the oceans, which is good. So you are doing the right thing, I would say. Yeah.
Now, I'm just a bit worried because we've been going on for a long time, and you told me you had a long day. So
No,
we,
it's okay. It's okay.
uh,
I can still take a bit more
not next
questions.
time. Next time now, when we see this Dr. Macaulay come, you'll be like, eh, eh.
Oh no, no, it's okay. I'm happy that the questions are pouring in now. So I think we missed some questions though. I can see a question from Vic saying, "Good evening, sir. I'm currently doing a PhD program. Can I apply for a lower degree or a PhD?" Hmm. Now, the
Another
issue with
question is coming as well, by the way.
okay.
Questions are flowing now. When we are begging them 30 minutes ago,
to
they like
to
you. They
answer
like
Vic,
you.
to answer Vic, I'll probably say, I don't, you have a PhD. Are you trying to apply for another PhD? If that is the case, you need to justify why. If you want to apply for a lower degree like a master's, you need to justify why. For example, I applied for a master's online and I got the Commonwealth, even though I already have a PhD. But guess what? I had to justify it. And it was not easy for me because they rejected me first in 2021. They rejected me because they probably were not convinced by what I wrote. But I was stubborn. I applied again in 2023. But between 2021 and 2023, I had improved my profile. So I went back to apply and then I rejigged the application. Some of you, you pick an old application where you lost. You go and submit it again. It's not nice. Try to rejig the application, which I did. And this time around in 2024, I got it. It's a master's by the same organization that paid for my PhD. So I must have convinced them that the second master's, and as well, they paid for my master's. They paid for my master's and PhD, and they were happy to pay for this second master's. So it all boils down to convincing. How well are you at convincing people? Are you a lawyer? Maybe you should learn to convince. So if you can, then you'll be good.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So I just wanted us to quickly go past the filling of the form stage. Let's say you filled all those forms now, and if you can't fill your form, you can quickly speak to Dr. Macaulay. But I wanted to just ask a question. There is so imagine you have a third class. How does that work? But what
If
if you already have your master's? Are they still looking at your undergraduate third class?
No, 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 no. Your masters have, you know, when they say all things are passed away,
And
behold.
all things have become new.
Exactly.
So
So they are not going to judge you by your third class. As long as you performed well on the masters, they will actually be impressed that you have improved.
oh,
Yeah,
excellent.
yeah.
So now that I've filled that form and I've sent it in, I now have that long wait. Um, what are they looking at in my form in order to decide among the thousands of other applicants?
Hmm. Well, the truth of the matter is that long wait is a very uncomfortable wait. I've passed through that a couple of times in my life, and I can assure you, it's not pleasant at all. Especially
This is when you
when,
go and pray and fast, right?
yes, so pray and fast, then you'll be checking your email every two seconds. Well, well, the truth is, at that point, I'll be honest with you. Winning a scholarship is not entirely just having a great profile. There's the element of fortune, luck. People call these different things, but Christians call it grace. All right. Eh? The others that are not Christians will probably say luck, will say fortune, and so on. But we say it's grace. There's elements of grace, and I'll explain how and why. So let's say, okay, let me use the current masters I'm doing now at Edinburgh. The man who told me I had won, after congratulating me, told me again via email that you must be very proud of yourself because this was a very competitive process. 90 applicants actually submitted for the program, Carbon Management, Edinburgh, 90. And they only had scholarships for 5. 5 out of 90. And he said, and you're one of the 5. So you should actually be proud of yourself. And so I realized very quickly that at the end of the day, what decides the final selection are just thin margins, very thin margins. 90 people applied. I'm sure they will be, cutting it down. At the point they got to 10, last 10, I can assure you that those 10 people are winners. The 10 are winners. Because that's 10 from 90. There are 10 amazing winners. It's just unfortunate that we don't have enough spaces for 10. We only have spaces for 5. And that's when it gets critical. That's when thin margins come in. They'll now start looking at things that you don't even expect. Things that I can't even talk about because I've never sat on such a committee. I don't know. I don't know. And that's where you need to go and climb.
You just know that you're a serious scholarship winner.
Well, I thank God for grace. Well, you see, at the end of the day, the email comes and you've won. You should probably thank God because it's not entirely because of the quality of your profile, because there are people with amazing profiles globally. Amazing profiles. But at that last minute of making a decision, they probably just liked something about your profile. Okay? And it's funny because in some other applications where I was rejected this year, they probably didn't like my profile.
And you probably wrote about the same thing.
Of course. And then in this one, they probably liked it. So there's the element of luck, fortune, grace that follows the entire process, which means don't give up. As you keep trying, eventually your time will come.
There's a friend of you, there's a student of your university who's asking the question, when should she start applying?
Oh, well, as I said, start getting your documents a year before you want to start applying. And then
still a student too.
These footer people safe.
They know you. He's probably coming to your class tomorrow.
These footer people, you won't believe it, sir. 200 level students came to my office some months ago, and they told me, sir, we are in 200 level. They were not even in my faculty at all. They just came around and said, sir, we want to know what we should be doing so that we can win a scholarship in 3 years' time. I sat there and I was looking at them and I was just dazed. I was like, footer people, una no dey tire.
I think this one is in final year, don't worry.
Okay. Is she?
I think so. Is that Faith? Do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
She's about to finish her undergrads.
Oh yeah. That's why I said she's in final year.
Okay. If she's in final year, then I'm glad that she's mentioned the university I know very well, because I'm sitting in the university right now. So what I know is if you are part of this current graduating part 5, I'm aware that your convocation is next month. I'm aware that your results are currently being processed. So you can't get your transcript until probably the end of the year. So start planning to get your transcript around December or January. Get them immediately. One thing I would advise you to do is get them before you are posted. Because if you are posted to a far place, let's say you are posted to the southeast, and then the scholarship thing starts, you won't be able to run down to FUTA to start getting these things. Then you get stuck. So be proactive. Don't be reactive. Get all your documents now so that as you are posted for NYSC, you are ready with all the documents that you need and you can start applying wherever you are. So I would say apply for your, normally FUTA will give you your original certificates in November, just a day or 2 days after your convocation. I'm proud to say that we are one of few schools that do that. Many other schools will give you statements of results. I mean, what the heck? What the hell is that?
Oh,
But then,
even though I didn't go there, just for your sake.
so
Okay.
yeah. So that's it. You will get your certificate on time, but your transcript, I would say you should apply for it in January. Yeah.
All right. Okay. To tell the truth, we've taken a lot of your time. I'm going to ask you to say something final. But who's giving you results the same day you convocate?
There's another foot student from Foot Mina this time saying that that's what we also do. Oh, well, to be honest, Foot Mina is a very good school. So yeah, very
I have nothing to say. I don't want to get the wonderful university I went.
yeah.
But I'm just going to allow. Okay, so this looks like very specific questions about a course that this person wants to do. He has a 2-1 already. Can he be privileged to do a master's in public health?
Well, it depends on what his first degree is. What's his first degree?
Was that
I don't.
side?
If you can tell us what he studied, because something with public health is if there's nothing health related that you've done, it's going to be so difficult to attract public health masters. Because as a matter of fact, over the years, I've noticed that scholarship sponsors love giving that public health degree to doctors. They love doctors a lot. Okay, so it's
environmental health and safety.
well, yes, you can do public health, but you better specialize in environmental health because it's now consistent with your background. Because there is an aspect of public health called environmental health. So I would say do public health with a specialization in environmental health. Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to thank everyone who's asked questions so far, and it's been really wonderful. Just before you say your last few words, I just want to say the following. Um, we have announcements and stuff coming up soon. But if you want to be on the mailing list and receive the YouTube recording, you can send a message to me. My email address is ifeolu. That's, you better start writing it down because I'm not writing it down. ifeolu dot Akintunde, which is Akintunde at ofnc.org.uk. So that's ifeolu.akintunde at ofnc.org.uk. You might see it in the announcements, who knows. So just in case there's something.
All right. So I've helped them.
Just in case there's something I haven't. Is it? Would you like to just let me give you just 1 or 2 minutes just to say anything that's on your mind to say?
Okay. Well, anything on my mind. I would probably say my parting words would be do not give up. Winning a scholarship is, a full-time job. It's a full-time job. If you get a rejection, I mean, I was rejected. Commonwealth rejected me in 2021. I reapplied in 2023 and they eventually gave it to me. So A rejection is not the end of the world. Okay, try again. Rejig, go back to the table, go back to the drawing board, add some new things to your profile and reapply. Don't give up easily. Have a thick skin. Have a thick skin. If you don't have a thick skin, every rejection will get to you and you will give up. And the moment you lose interest, you lose the energy, you lose steam, you won't apply again, and that will be it. And you tell yourself, I didn't win because I was rejected. And you will never know that if you had continued, you would have eventually won. So I will tell you, never stop trying until you win. Never stop trying until you win. That's my first. The second I would say is be proactive. You know, I said this a couple of times while talking. Be proactive, be proactive. Don't let documents stop you from winning a scholarship. I mean, some people would say, oh, it's the transcript that delayed, so I could not claim the scholarship I won, so I lost it. It's so sad to hear those type of things. And it's because half of the time you were not proactive, you were reactive, you waited and waited. When you were supposed to apply for admission, you did not. You waited and waited. Then the admission dragged. Then you started panicking. There is no need. Be proactive. Do things well in advance. All this will help you a lot so that the absence of one document will not just stop you from changing your life forever. Okay, so these are the two things I'll probably say to you in order to improve your chances of winning. Thanks a lot, OFNC, for having me. I will definitely come again for the third time if you invite me.
I will invite you. That's not a problem. Thank you for inviting yourself because we've invited you already.
Thank you so much.
Or rather, thank you for accepting our next invitation. I'd like to thank all of you who have listened. This looks like it's been very impactful because of the interaction we've received. It's really been good to have all of you around, and God bless you all for coming. We'll have other programs and we'll let you know when they're coming through. I'm already thinking of a few ideas flopping into my head. But we've come to the end of this one, and I want to, before the vote of thanks, I just want to thank the really good. And then to take some announcements, we've got, I think, Dr. Shegun Popola. Are you there? Dr. Shegun Popola, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Have you got announcements for us, sir?
I don't think we really have any announcement at the moment. Yeah,
Madike was going to send you some. Okay, that's okay. No worries.
yeah, I didn't receive it. Sorry.
Okay. That's all right. In which case, just to talk about the OFNC again, if you want to find out the events we're running, you can visit the www.ofnc.org.uk. And Dr. Popola has kindly put my address there. So if we hear from you, there is I'm really sorry about this because there is a form. Um, there's a form, the feedback form, and I've just done it, which would have been really helpful. So I'm going to see if we can do the feedback form. I can send the feedback link to you, Dr. Ola, and you can put it up on the Teams link because I'm not sure I can do that. I think I sent it to Dr. Omadike earlier on, and I'm really sorry that it's not ready, but we'll see what we can do. So in the meantime, I'll give you 1 or 2 minutes to say the closing prayer while I try to sort this out. I'll unmute myself so that I can send the link. So as soon as you, if you want to check, if you want to find out what the feedback form link, just do me the favor, stay, uh, just do me the favor of staying around for it. I'll mute myself now. So uh, Dr. Segun, okay, good. So Dr. Ola, are you able to close prayer?
Yes, sir. Okay, let's pray. Father, we thank you for this great opportunity that we have today. Thank you for the blessing from the person, our guest speaker that you have used for us today. Thank you for Brother Ife as well. Lord Jesus, we thank you for every participant. The guest speaker mentioned the essence of grace. Lord, we pray that the grace of God will be sufficient for everyone and will cause every desire of every participant to come to pass according to your will in their lives in Jesus' name. We pray, O God, that as they run with these instructions, you will grant everything that is needed in terms of time, in terms of effort, in terms of resilience, in terms of favor, everything that is needed to get this scholarship opportunity that they are looking forward to. You will make it a reality for them. We thank you because you have answered. We pray for our guest speaker and the moderator that you will bless them abundantly. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much for joining, and God bless.
Hold on, Dr. Popola, I'm just about to send this to you now. Hold on a second. Sorry about this. I'm just about to do it now. I'm so sorry. Okay. Okay. Dr. Popola, can you just check if you've seen the link that I've sent to you, which is the feedback link?
Yes, I've received it. I will copy it and send it now.
Yeah. So while he's doing that, I just want to once again thank everybody and specifically to thank you, Dr. Macaulay, for being here. I know that Dr. Popola has done it, but I always remember this story about the king who organized the banquet in the Bible and nobody showed up. And it was quite distressing for the king. He just had to go out and send out. But you guys showed up, which is good. And it's you that make it worthy for us. And with all his qualifications, if Dr. Popola was sorry, if Dr. Macaulay was speaking to nobody, it wouldn't really matter. So thanks for having him. Thank you for being here. And thank all of God bless you. Have a wonderful time, and hopefully we'll catch you at our next event. You have now just been sent the this try to fill it as soon as possible so that we can find what God bless you all. I'm just going to end the recording now. I'll give everybody a chance to talk to yourself.
Okay. Good night, everyone. Thank you, Uncle Ife. Bye.